In late 2023, the CMA-CGM Theodore Roosevelt, a massive container ship nearly 4 football fields long, approached the Pacific entrance of the Panama Canal. On board, it carried 12,000 containers, each packed with goods bound for the eastern United States, from electronics to clothing. Its journey from Asia had already spanned thousands of miles, but the next 50 were about to become the most expensive stretch of water in global shipping. For just a few hours of transit through this narrow waterway, its owners would pay a staggering sum. But that initial payment was only the beginning. The question isn't just how much one ship pays to cross 50 miles of the Panama Canal. The question is why it's so much and why shipping companies willingly pay it. Most people assume the Panama Canal Authority charges based on its operating costs, maintaining the locks, dredging the channels, and paying its staff. That's a reasonable assumption, but it's completely wrong. The actual price, which can easily climb past $900,000 for a single large vessel, is instead based on a brutal calculation of the alternative. I dug through the canal's public tariffs and auction data so you don't have to, and what I found reveals how pure geography allows a small nation to extract billions from global trade. It comes down to 3 distinct layers of cost, each designed to capture maximum value from desperate shipping lines. The first layer of cost is the standard transit toll, calculated by the Panama Canal Authority, or ACP. For a modern container ship, these charges start with a fixed fee, currently around $300,000 for a large Neo-Panamax vessel as of the 2025 fiscal year. On top of that, there's a charge for every 20-foot equivalent unit, or TEU, that the ship carries. A TEU is the standard measure for container capacity. The CMA-CGM Theodore Roosevelt, for instance, has a capacity of 12,000 TEUs. When fully loaded, those per TEU charges add up quickly, pushing the total standard toll for a ship of that size to roughly $840,000. This base toll alone is a significant expense, but it's only the beginning of what a shipping company must pay. Once a ship enters canal waters, it needs help. Next layer of cost comes from mandatory pilotage, tugboat assistance, and line handlers. Navigating the complex locks and narrow channels of the canal is a highly specialized skill. For safety reasons, the captain of a transiting vessel must hand over control to a Panama Canal pilot, who is an expert in the local conditions. This service is not included in the base toll. On top of that, large ships like the Theodore Roosevelt cannot maneuver themselves through the locks or tight turns. They require powerful tugboats to nudge and pull them along. And as the ship passes through the locks, teams of skilled line handlers on shore manage the massive ropes that secure the vessel. These additional services, which are critical for safe passage, typically add another 15 to 30% on top of the base toll. So for our hypothetical Neo-Panamax vessel, that $840,000 base toll can easily swell to over $1 million just to cross 50 miles. But even that figure does not fully capture the strategic premium ships often pay. The third and most volatile cost comes from the Panama Canal's slot auction system. The canal has a limited number of daily transit slots, usually around 36. During periods of high demand, or more recently, severe drought, that number can drop significantly. For example, during the drought conditions of 2023 and 2024, the number of daily transits was cut to as low as 24. To manage this scarcity, the Canal Authority allows shipping companies to bid for priority slots. In normal conditions, these bids can range from $50,000 to over $400,000. But when congestion is severe and the alternative routes become even more costly, the bidding escalates wildly. Industry reports from late 2023 indicated that some companies paid well over $2 million just for a single guaranteed transit slot, in addition to all the other fees. This auction system transforms a logistical necessity into a high-stakes competition, further driving up the price of passage. The reason shipping companies are willing to pay these colossal sums, even millions of dollars for a single transit, is not because the canal's operating costs are that high. It's because the cost of the alternative is far, far higher. The Panama Canal's pricing logic is purely based on value capture. For a ship traveling from East Asia to the east coast of the United States, like our CMA-CGM Theodore Roosevelt heading to New York, the 50-mile shortcut through Panama saves thousands of miles compared to sailing around the bottom of South America via Cape Horn. Consider the route from Shanghai, China to New York City. Through the Panama Canal, the journey is roughly 10,500 nautical miles. Without the canal, a ship would have to sail south, around Cape Horn, adding about 5,500 nautical miles to the trip, bringing the total to over 16,000 nautical miles. For a typical container ship traveling at an average speed of 18 knots, those extra 5,500 nautical miles mean approximately 13 additional days at sea. 13 extra days at sea translates directly into massive costs. A large Neo-Panamax container ship, as of early 2024, can burn between 150 to 200 metric tons of marine fuel per day. With fuel prices hovering around $700 per metric ton, those 13 additional days mean an extra fuel bill of over $1.5 million. On top of that, operating a large container ship, including crew wages, maintenance, and chartering costs, can easily run $75,000 per day. So 13 extra days add another nearly $1 million in operational expenses. When you sum it up, avoiding the Panama Canal can cost a shipping company over $2.5 million in fuel and operating costs alone. Suddenly, a $900,000 toll, or even a $3 million total cost, including auction bids, looks like a bargain. This strategic pricing allows the Panama Canal Authority to generate immense revenue for the nation of Panama. In its 2025 fiscal year projections, the ACP expects to collect over $4.9 billion in transit revenue. This averages out to about $650,000 per crossing, reflecting the mix of ship sizes and types. This revenue is a vital source of income for Panama, funding infrastructure projects, social programs, and contributing significantly to the national budget. It is a powerful example of how a nation, by controlling a critical geographic choke point, can exert significant influence and financial leverage over global trade. The very existence of the canal is a testament to human ingenuity overcoming geographic barriers, but its economic power today stems from the sheer inconvenience and expense of its alternatives. Before the canal opened in 1914, the only options for ships moving between the Atlantic and Pacific were the long, dangerous journey around Cape Horn, or unloading cargo and shipping it overland through Panama itself. The canal cut transit times dramatically, reshaping global supply chains and making trade vastly more efficient. This historical context underscores the fundamental value proposition that the canal still offers, despite its rising costs. The strategic importance of the Panama Canal has only intensified with the growth of global trade. With roughly 3% of global maritime trade by volume passing through its locks, any disruption has ripple effects across the world. The severe drought of 2023 and 2024, for example, highlighted this vulnerability. Lower water levels in Gatun Lake, which feeds the locks, forced the ACP to restrict daily transits. This scarcity drove up auction prices to unprecedented levels, as shipping lines vied for the limited slots. Retailers in the United States, importing goods from Asia, faced delays and higher shipping costs, which eventually filtered down to consumer prices. This shows that the canal is not just a commercial enterprise, it's a critical piece of global infrastructure whose stability impacts millions. As global trade continues to expand and supply chains become more complex, the Panama Canal will likely continue to leverage its unique geographic position. While other routes, like the Arctic Passage, could theoretically offer alternatives in the distant future, for now, no other waterway provides the same combination of efficiency, reliability, and cost savings for routes connecting the Atlantic and Pacific. Panama's incentives are clear: maintain the canal's capacity and safety, while strategically pricing its services to capture the maximum possible value from the vast savings it offers to global shipping. The Panama Canal, a narrow 50-mile strip of water, stands as a testament to the power of geography in shaping the global economy, allowing a small nation to extract billions from the world's insatiable demand for trade. These unpredictable costs and delays force American companies to make tough strategic choices, extending beyond just the immediate shipping bill. For major importers like Walmart or Home Depot, whose entire business model relies on efficient global supply chains, the decision isn't merely about the immediate cost of transit. Extended transit times, whether due to a reroute around Cape Horn or a lengthy delay for a canal slot, directly impact inventory levels. Holding more inventory to buffer against uncertainty means higher warehousing costs, often tens of thousands of dollars per day for a large distribution center, increased risk of obsolescence, and crucially, millions of dollars in capital tied up that could otherwise be invested. For example, if a company like Target carries $10 billion in inventory, an increase in average transit time by just 2 weeks necessitates holding hundreds of millions of dollars more in stock. This directly affects cash flow and profitability. The premium for a guaranteed transit slot, sometimes over $2 million, is therefore an investment in supply chain predictability. Without that certainty, companies face the far greater costs of lost sales, dissatisfied customers, and the systemic unraveling of the lean just-in-time models perfected over decades by companies like Apple and Amazon, which depend on precise, reliable global logistics. The canal directly accounts for over 6% of Panama's gross domestic product, a figure unmatched by any single infrastructure project in most nations. Subscribe to Tradewind, and the next video is waiting for you on screen right now.